One moment. Sorry. I'm going to also record just to be safe.
Rebecca, Elizabeth needs a link to get on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. Some of them.
All right, Gary, we're recording and we're live. I'll send Elizabeth a link.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Summer yet?
No,
Not yet. Tomorrow. All right, so thank you for joining Hudson 7 Council's hybrid monthly meeting. Today is June 12th. So my name is Gary Baston, as you all know here. I'm the mayor for Village Rhinebeck and also chair of the Hudson 7. Hudson 7 hybrid meetings will be streamed live on our Hudson 7 YouTube channel. The public is advised to subscribe to this channel. Our in-person meetings occur here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant and it's located at 3431 North Road, Poughkeepsie, New York. Public comment is allowed both in person and remotely. Please ask you to visit our website to learn how you can provide public comment by visiting www.hudson7.org and visit the meeting page. In attendance tonight, I'll go around the room. We do have a quorum, but I'm going to start here on my right.
Devin Rigolino, I'm with Dutchess County.
Becca Edwards, Town of Poughkeepsie Supervisor.
Nick Butler, Port Huron Water Superintendent, Town of Silvis.
Dan Shapley, Riverkeeper, advisor.
Lynn Jarrow, Town of Hyde Park.
Elizabeth Mosqueda, Town of Hyde Park Board, Town Board, Ward 2.
Thank you. And on the screen, we have Russ, I'm going to start with you.
Russ Gilmore, Town of Lloyd.
Emily.
Emily Svensson, Technical Advisor.
Ben.
Ben Gannon, Ulster County.
Shannon.
Shannon Roback, Riverkeeper.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Spinzia, Supervisor, Town of Rhinebeck.
Grant.
Grant Jang, Technical Advisor.
And Mike.
Mike Fortin with the Department of Health.
Thank you all for coming. I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Motion.
I have a second. Thank you. So all approved?
Yes.
All right. So first on the agenda is approval of minutes 5/8/24. I make a motion to approve the minutes of 5/8/24. Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments?
None.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So approved.
Aye.
Elizabeth, you're up.
Hi, everybody. We're all paid. Everyone's paid dues as of May 31st. We have paid our $6,250 of expenses. We accrued $127.68 of interest in the month of May for a total of interest today of $550.94. Our balance is $44,250.16. We're basically paying Rebecca and accruing interest. That's all we're doing.
I plan, so that's good.
Can I ask a question?
No.
Elizabeth, do we know, does the interest that we've accrued yet, will that cover our fees, or what was the fees again that we have?
We've made $550 to date. It covers our internet. We're getting about 3%. The monthly rate will go down as we pay out more money, but we should have about $800 year to date. I think I don't know if the executive committee wants to discuss this and make a recommendation, but we should be fine for this year, depending on what we want to do. And next year, I think at the end of this year, I think we have to make a budget for next year. But yes, it will cover the the town of Rhinebeck paid for internet this year, so the other fees are besides web hosting, I don't have it in front of me, and we didn't have planned to spend anything else, correct?
Do we have an internet, web hosting fee, Rebecca?
You have a website for Weebly that you've been taking turns at paying for.
The town of Rhinebeck paid for it this year.
It's about $149.99 a year.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All in favor of the treasurer's report, say aye. Rebecca, you're on.
So in your source materials, I've included my consultant report for the month of May. Are there any questions? It's also public facing for the public to see as well.
Just a quick summary, I think, Rebecca, in terms of there was a lot happening, just for people.
Sure. Okay.
Couple minutes.
No, I'm happy to do that. Let me share my screen too. So my consultant report is set up to reflect our goals, our goal document, the Hudson 7 goal document that the Hudson 7 creates and approves each year, which ends up becoming, in this case, my work plan. The goals and results, we have the organizational items, the create a 501c3, which is our structural organizational structure group that has been working together to identify what might be options for the best organizational structure for the Hudson 7 to consider and to discuss. And this month, we made a lot of progress, and we have options now that we're going to be bringing back to the full council next month. Establishing policies and procedures this month. I went back and reworked the social media policy that Emily Svensson has looked at, and we're going to share with you this evening. And we have this ongoing motions document, which is also public facing, that shows every action that the Hudson 7 has taken since 2018, so that the public can easily see what we're doing from month to month, and it points them right back to our minutes. So it's really efficient. It's on our About page, and I update that every month. Developing funding streams for operation and development expenses. We're working on this book that outlines all of the advocacy work that we've done and timelines. And we also are getting interest in having conversations about potential grant opportunities, which is exciting. We'll talk some tonight. Becoming an important resource for drinking water operators. We had our first annual water treatment plan appreciation week, which was really successful, which we could talk about later. I think you were all following along to the blog posts of water treatment plant operators or staff from each of our 5 drinking water plants within the watershed that led to a tour of the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility with 27 guests, which was great. Education, it's part of our educational effort to do outreach to the community and to support our water treatment plant operators and staff. And so we're really doing that work, deep work. The DWSP2, we continue to meet, and I provide any assistance that I can to the committee. The salt front study, which is another one of our goals. This month, just continuing to support Paul Melrose and getting information to keep the council up to date on what's happening with the New York State DEC's process for the salt front study and funding for that study. The Chippy committee, or no longer the committee, but the Chippy work and public comments, which we were approved to proceed with. We were able to submit our comment letter, which again was a lot of work, and that you've all been following along. You're seeing this activity throughout the month. Lower Sopus Creek, just continued support to our technical advisor, Paul Melrose, in his work in representing the Hudson 7 on the Ashokan Release Work Group, or the ARWG, and Anchorage Committee, no activity in May. beyond the information that we know, that the legislation that we're following, that the congressional reps have brought forward, has passed through the House and is now in front of the Senate, so the US Senate. So we're continuing to follow this process, which we think will conclude by the end of the year when the legislation is sent to the president for his signature. And all these notable next steps, which you can see from my work in part for next month. So that's the overview. Any questions? Did I miss anything? Can't see.
I
Yep.
noticed you provided a letter of support for the city of Kingston for a grant application.
Yes.
The town of Poughkeepsie and the joint water plant here are both submitting proposals, but what are the criteria for when Hudson 7 will or won't provide a letter of support, depending on the nature of the project?
Yeah, so Hudson 7 took an action years ago. So rather than having to bring in and ask the council to vote to approve these letters of support, we have permission to provide letters of support to Hudson 7 communities or the communities that are surrounding the Hudson 7 communities, such as the city of Kingston, that are, I'm just going to pull it up really quick so you can see. It's in our bylaws, that are working on grants that improve infrastructure, drinking water or wastewater infrastructure. Actually, I can pull it up, or I can just send it to you, Rebecca, directly, so you can see that action. Yep.
Write you for a letter of support if it fits the criteria, because
Mhm.
we're submitting a proposal for upgrades in the city, in the town of Poughkeepsie system, so.
Yeah, that's great. All you need to do is send me a template of the language that you need, and then we can fill in the rest for drinking water and wastewater infrastructure grant submissions.
One grant writer who's working with the joint water plant and another working with the town of Poughkeepsie, and both of them, I think, are essential to water infrastructure. They're due Friday, so I will.
Yeah,
get you-
that's the same. That's the same as the city of Kingston's. I'm happy to turn it around for you immediately.
I
So
have it, I have a template for the town one, so
And I'll
send it to
sign
me in the morning and I'll get it to you right away, Rebecca.
I'll send them tonight.
Great, thanks.
I had another question with that. The incredible excitement over getting a letter of support just blew out of my head, so, can't remember things.
I'm sorry, you have another question?
I thought I did.
It's a fleeting moment. We may come back.
If I may, I just would like to share this since it's up, and I've pulled up our bylaws, Rebecca, and our bylaws are on our About page on the website for easy access. But if we look at, just to highlight it so you can see, because when I sent this out to Kingston, I had to flag it as a reminder. Here we are. The Hudson 7 municipalities, to include the city of Kingston and other communities discharging near water intakes, who apply for a grant will be provided a letter of support from the council or whatever is deemed necessary or helpful. So that's the criteria. So
Thank you.
happy to help you in any way that you need.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions? Moving on. Rebecca, communications.
Yes, so we have several in our communications tonight. We have an ENB, an environmental news bulletin that was submitted and that was posted on the 8th of May. The Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority is lead agency. This is for a seeker announcement, has determined that the proposed West Dorsey water main extension project will not have a significant adverse environmental impact. And just for the public, our agenda and materials are all posted on our website, but I'll still share. in case people are following along.
Want me to explain why I shared this quickly, Rebecca?
That would be great, of course.
Real quick, it's, you know, it's not a big deal, but it's an extension of this, the water district that draws from the Hudson. So it's more, in this case, I think businesses, not homes, right, that would be benefiting from. So it's a growth of the Hudson Sevens.
Is it just
Becca?
about building?
Then we'll know, and probably some other development along that.
Yes.
Dan is done.
Okay. So, Paul Malmrose sent a consumer confidence report on rule revisions that are going into effect in 2027, and a link to that for your information. Jacinta Chen, the Hudson Valley Regional Director from Senator Gillibrand's office, is extremely helpful and is communicating with us on a regular basis, which is really, really terrific. And Jacinta has sent us a number of opportunities that are all listed in the communications list for you to review. And I've been forwarding them to you as well when there's an opportunity for you to tune in. In the case it's helpful for your community, not all of them relate to our work on the Hudson 7, but it's excellent, and hopefully you are all on her list, so you're receiving these in real time. The Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility has added a Hudson 7 page, which looks terrific, and there's a link to it there for you to see and to share if you'd like. And a new item that just came in, the Hudson, the Consensus Building Institute, or CBI, who serves as the EPA's consultant, the Environmental Protection Agency's consultant, and who is stewarding Hudson River PCBs on behalf of the process, on behalf of the EPA, is hosting a Hudson CAG, or a Community Advisory Group 101. So it's onboarding orientation session for all CAG members. And we have 2 Hudson 7 reps. Randy Altstadt is the primary and Dottie DeNoble is the alternate. So they are both invited to attend, and it looks like they're both attending on June 25th at 1 p.m. And those are the communications for this month.
See anybody on for public comment? Is
There's
anybody-
no public comment tonight, Gary.
We move on to actions for business. So the Hudson 7 organizational structure, as Rebecca mentioned earlier, we just recently met on the 11th. We took all of the options that we've been reviewing over and discussing in great detail and edited it down to 2. We're going to bring those 2 forward to the council. We're going to put some more words around them to make sure, package them up and bring each to the council for review and discussion. Or we'll make any other of the other next steps. So next month is our plan to have that ready for you to review as an organizational structure, should we choose to go forward with 501c3. Anything you want to add? Anybody want to add anything? Okay. Watershed roundtable and follow-up materials. Becca, do you know are you doing that?
Yes. So the Hudson River Watershed Alliance hosted a roundtable last month and followed up with the materials from that event, as well as sent an organizational assessment. And I filled that out on behalf of the Hudson 7 and got it in on deadline, which was June the 6th, I believe. And so our input is contributing to their thinking through what sorts of assistance they can offer going forward for watershed groups and organizations like ours. So we're in the groove with the Hudson River Watershed Alliance and thankful for their work.
Okay, Hudson River PCB, their 3rd year. Is there anybody to comment on that?
I can just say the last night, Riverkeeper, Scenic Hudson, and Clearwater, who are organizations that are all part of the Friends of Clean Hudson hosted a briefing last night in an update on fish and sediment data for the public. And it was really well attended, great panelists. And they are going to be sending around video from last night, a PDF of their presentation, updated fact sheets in English and Spanish, and their addendum, which is this new data, all hoping to press the EPA before the release of the third draft 5-year review for a not protective determination, meaning that the remedy is not protective of fish or the public or the river. So, and they're making a lot of headway. So once those materials are distributed to all of those who are on the Friends of Clean Hudson list, and the Hudson 7 is, I'll send it around to you all so you have that information. And that CAG update is related to PCBs, but I put it in communications just because it just came in. So, and that's all on PCBs for today.
You might as well keep going on the Chippy.
Like working with the Department of Health.
Yep, sorry I muted Paul. Hi, Paul. Hi, Amanda, Grant, Mike, Leon, and Russ. All right, I'm sorry. Gary, you want an update on Chippy?
Yes, please.
So this month there were 2 pieces to the recent requests by the full council as it pertains to the EM and CP, or the Environmental Management and Construction Plan, for segment 19A and B. 19A is the prelay mattressing action for the Chippy cable in the river. 19B is the construction. And so the EM and CP for 19A was released last year in August. While it's here, I might as well explain that. 19B was released, the public comment period began.
Interest today of $550.94. Our balance.
I just muted Paul. Paul, could you mute your YouTube channel? We can hear it. If you come back on the camera. Thank you. So for 19B, the construction, the public comment period opened. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but it was, I believe, in April, and there was a 30-day public comment period. The council approved and asked that we submit a letter to extend the public comment period, which was declined. And we joined Riverkeeper and Scenic Hudson, who initially made that request, and the Hudson 7 did as well. So we had 30 days to review all the material.
Elizabeth and Rebecca are talking at the same time.
Depending on what we want to do.
No, you have the YouTube channel on, Paul. So
Yeah, I wasn't talking, sorry.
yeah, it's okay. It sounds like the YouTube, and like it's back a ways. So do you have the YouTube channel on, Paul? Sounds like it. We've been taking turns at paying for it.
The town of Rhinebeck paid for it.
I'm muting you, Paul, while you figure that out. It sounds like you've got the YouTube channel on. Sorry. So the Hudson 7 requested that we send an extension letter. Sorry, I'm going backwards. And which was declined. And then we had 30 days to review all the materials. And Paul Melrose did an excellent job in putting together a comment letter for the Hudson 7. And we had assistance from Dan Shapley and others. Thank you so much. And we were able to get a Hudson 7 comment letter in on the day of deadline. And we've been waiting for for TDI to respond to all of the comments. And about a week ago, they did, with a 102-page comment letter that Paul has reviewed and maybe is continuing to review. And we're just waiting to see what the next steps are, if there are any. We're trying to evaluate what that might be. So that's where we are currently, but we did get all of our work done that was requested by the Hudson 7, and I think that the technical advisors did an excellent job.
Comments on that? Any comments from anybody? Questions?
And just so everybody knows, the letters are in your source materials, but also in that document I mentioned earlier, the motions document that's on the about page of our website, so the public can follow along too. And anything that's of public record, I'm linking to our actions so the public can see and access those letters in the case they'd like to review them. And so can you. And you can share with your constituents as well.
I'd like to reach out to Paul and thank Paul for his review. I know it's a lot to do, and you've taken on a great job to do it. So thank you, Paul, for helping us get those comments in.
Paul, can you hear us now? Paul? Now you're muted. No, you just here. I'll ask you to unmute. There you go.
Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I've been on since the beginning of the meeting, but I haven't been able to get on Zoom. Yeah, it was a lot of work, but I think it was worthwhile. I think the big things to take away from this is that they will sample our water if we request it before you put your plants back online. I would strongly recommend that, but that's up to the individual operators. Also, I was very concerned about navigation traffic because there's going to be two ships that are going to be coming down the Hudson River that are about as long as a football field, each one of them. But after looking at a lot of the stuff, it seems like the Coast Guard has it under control. So they're going to provide pilots. So a pilot is someone who knows the Hudson River and can follow the ships down. So I thought the comments to Asopus were really nasty, to tell you the truth. But I don't know, Rebecca, do you know what's going to go on from here?
Well, we're inquiring. We wrote to Sean Murphy, the engineer, to find out how TDI would be responding to the comments beyond their own comments. I mean, would they be adjusting the EM and CP? What's the next steps or not? And I guess it's up to the PSC, the Public Service Commission now, to decide, whether or not they're going to accept TDI's comments, and that will override ours, all of ours, or not, all of yours. So it's not clear. And I did also ask Jen White, but I haven't heard back. But I suspect that it's the PSC now that will decide. So we're keeping an eye on that. And also special thanks to all the organizations too that are monitoring this and helping as well to keep us, just so that nothing falls through the cracks. So there's a lot of good support, and it's much appreciated.
Okay, then move on to the committee updates. So the first one is our DWSP2 program, Mike?
Yes, so I have a brief update. I have finished going through the DWSP2 write-up draft edits from Riverkeeper. I'm working through Paul's edits now, and I'm finalizing a couple of the maps that we've been discussing. I'll be sending out updated material to the subcommittee, and we'll schedule our next meeting, which I think we can expect for probably mid-July right now. And I'm hoping that we can have this submitted to the state for review within about 2 to 3 months. I would say 2, but with all the vacations coming up in the future, it might be closer to 3. But that's the goal right now. And that's it for me right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike. Shannon, are you on? Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Shannon. You want to just briefly again mention the monitoring
Sure, yeah. Did you want me to talk about the grant proposal?
Well, we could do that now or later, but I was more about the DWSP two, because we're trying to link that together.
So Shannon, are there two opportunities? The Syracuse University, Tang Zhang, who is interested in doing some monitoring
Yes.
for us over the summer, is that separate from the potential grant opportunity? So are there
Yes.
two items?
Yes.
Maybe we'll just address both. That would be great.
Okay, sure. So, Tang or Ten Zhang at Syracuse University is one of the partners that we were talking with to submit the grant proposal to the Water Research Foundation. He has a big analytical laboratory at Syracuse University, and he's interested in working with us to collect some samples and do that analysis over this summer. So he actually sent out some coolers, and we took them out on our boat right now this week. We're filling up those bottles, and we basically tried to so where he's collecting water from a subset of our total. So Riverkeeper collects water at 74 locations over a 4-day period, once per month, May through October. So we collected a subset of samples during this week at 40 locations, and those locations are skewed toward being close to your intakes and being close to wastewater outfalls. And so he is going to generate a lot of data about a variety of emerging contaminants, disinfection byproducts. He's basically going to try to run as many things as he can in his lab. And he may, depending on our results from this first round, he may send us more coolers to sample again next month or maybe the month after. And I think all of that data can be shared. So it won't be everything that was on our monitoring list, because he doesn't have the capability to do everything that's on our list, but it is going to be a lot of data for us. So that he's doing that free of charge. He's doing that because he wants to do the research. So we are the kind of lucky beneficiary of that project. So I guess I can pause there for any questions.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, good. Paul, you just had a meeting with on Lower Sopus Creek, right?
Yeah, on Lower Sopus Creek, the biggest issue that's come up now is New York City is going to be closing down the Delaware Aqueduct to make connections to a new pipeline that's under the Hudson River. And to do that, the Shokan is going to be the primary source of water. So they're building the water up in the Shokan, and probably be close to 90 or 100% in September. And obviously September is the month that we see the most hurricanes. And this is, NOAA just came out with their report that this is going to be, they're predicting the most severe season for hurricanes. So we've been trying to get them to help us and take some action to prevent flooding. And as you know, flooding just destroys water quality. If you talk to Randy, anytime there's a flood, the water quality really goes downhill because you wind up with sewage, oil, and all the other stuff. On the draft EIS, New York City has to hire another consultant to answer those questions. So it's going to be a long process. I don't see them completing the EIS for another 5 years. And probably they won't be putting in infrastructure facilities to meet that plan for another 5 years. So we're probably talking 10 years out. So it's kind of, things work slowly in New York City. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Gary, we need to go back. We didn't finish our DWSP2 work. There's 3 items here. I just wanted to follow up with the Tangzang sampling. Shannon, is there anything that we need to do to help to support that? And if not, if it's just an update, then you wanted to discuss or just bring forward a grant opportunity for the DWSP2?
Yeah, so when we get that first round of data, I think maybe we can ask 10 or one of his students to present that at a Hudson 7 meeting, and you all can ask questions, and if he's willing to do another run and sample another time, we might be able to make some requests about what would be included in that. So that's the first thing. In terms of the grant proposals, so I did actually receive word that unfortunately we weren't asked to submit a full proposal to the Water Research Foundation, which, you know, it's our first time ever trying to go for one of those grants at Riverkeeper. They typically go to utilities and they're typically not very super regionally focused. So it was a little bit of a reach, but so unfortunately we didn't get asked to submit a full proposal for that opportunity. However, we are interested in potentially applying for a DEC local stewardship grant. There are a couple of project areas that I think could fit well to get us some money to do this monitoring. So one is evaluate and or monitor water quality in specific segments to inform local and regional decision making at a watershed level, and implementing a protection strategy and or management method identified in a source water protection plan. So I think that we could put in a proposal to do the monitoring that we've designed for this program. It's a 75K grant, and what I've kind of been thinking is that we would sample near the intakes, and we would also sample the primary tributary mouths that are influencing the Hudson 7 source water, so that we could start to get a sense for if there are any particular tributaries that are more problematic for source water. And we would essentially do this, you know, with as many of the contaminants as we can afford to have analyzed at an ELAP certified lab. And I think, you know, it would probably be good to have Rebecca as a, you know, as a partner on the grant, but it wouldn't require any sort of like in-plant sampling. It would all be sampling that we would do on our boat. So, so this is a proposal that we would be happy to work with you all on submitting, but I think you need to decide, and I think we need to make a motion of some kind to, if you would like to move forward, with that proposal, and if so, then I can be in touch and, about what we might need in terms of letters of support and things like that.
The grant application is due in July, is that right, Shannon?
That's correct.
July 17th?
Yes.
So you would like the motion this evening, correct?
Yes.
In discussion. I don't see a reason why not. There's no downside to not going forward and trying to get the grant for DEC, right?
Riverkeeper did a very similar grant proposal when we were working with Peekskill, a little bit ahead of them finalizing their DWSP2, but it was the same kind of idea. Like, we know this is going to be in the plan. Let's go ahead and start to get some money to start to implement. Work very well.
I'd like to make a motion that we write a letter to submit the grant. I have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion?
So would Riverkeeper be submitting this grant, just to be clear, and we would be involved as a partner?
That's right.
Okay. And so you're asking for the Hudson Seven to have a further discussion about how the Hudson Seven's what the Hudson Seven's role would be in terms of coordination to help with the deliverables over the span of 2 years for a $75,000 total grant. Whatever portion of that would then come to the Hudson Seven for
Yep,
my time.
exactly. I mean, we can have a discussion. I know that like the Poughkeepsie lab is ELAP certified for some of this stuff. So if, you know, if you wanted to be involved and do some of that analysis, we could put money toward that. Or if we just wanted to use a commercial lab and just have them do everything. So I think if you were interested in having a little more involvement in that way, that would be, we can discuss it. So I'm not sure what the best way is to you know, to move forward. I can maybe share an outline of sort of what we're thinking for the proposal, and then maybe Rebecca, you can see what you think would be, you know, talk with the Hudson Seven stakeholders and see how they might want to be involved.
Great. So Gary, I think so to the motion is that Riverkeeper is submitting the grant, but we would be exploring the role that the Hudson Seven could play as it pertains to this grant application and the DWSP2. And it looks like if the grant, I'm trying to pull up my calendar. I believe that the next Hudson Seven meeting might one, two, yeah. So the next Hudson Seven meeting is July the 10th, which is a week before the deadline. So we could present an idea or a concept for the grant application. Shannon, I'm just spitballing. I don't really know what the timing is or when you're going to need to know, but the Hudson Seven could review that proposal and approve it or not by, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, Dan?
Well, the state has a new grant making system, and anyone who isn't aware, you need to pre-qualify. It's a whole new system for grant writers to deal with. So our grant writing team needs to get things done ahead of time. So that's one of the reasons I think we need to, like we've done before, like authorize the completion of the application in consultation with the Hudson Seven, but knowing that there's not going to be a chance to review it completely ahead of its submission.
And that's something that I tried to make, so that's, I want to move forward and get this in.
Sounds great.
Right, and if there's any review, we conduct it offline.
Yeah.
But I want approval from the board to go forward and submit the grant application.
Mhm.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Shannon. Get us something to work with.
No problem. All right. Looking forward to it.
Anything else?
When I raised this same grant opportunity presents another opportunity for the Hudson Seven, separate from Riverkeeper seeking money for the monitoring. There's a category in this grant round that would allow for the funding of the coordinator position. Essentially, it's a more open criteria than it has been in the past. So it had been more project based, where you really had to deliver on a lot of things. Now it's opened up quite a bit, so it could include things like are in the current coordinator work plan, like bylaw creation or procedures and things like that. Really just to support the council's work with a coordinator. And so I would suggest another resolution that authorizes the exploration of that as a possible second grant application, and knowing that it would need one of the municipalities to kind of be the lead partner, similar to the way SOPIS led on getting the DWSB2 for the whole of the coalition. So it will, require one of the members to be able to do that. And without that, it wouldn't be able to go forward.
Right.
But
Just so everyone knows, when municipality signs on, that means you're putting it into the portal and taking ownership of it. You're the recipient of the money to get it dispersed. There's a lot of logistics that have to go around in the municipality. Signs on to want to be able to be the host for that type of grant.
And I think the budget can include a percentage to cover at least some of that administrative cost.
But that has to be worked out with the municipality. So
Absolutely, yeah.
my concern when we discussed this kind of offline was that we really need a municipality to say, I'm willing to do this.
Yeah.
Because without that, it's really doesn't make sense to go forward. Right. I don't know if anybody here is going to this. All in favor, anybody wants to do a step forward?
Who's not present tonight?
Yeah.
Make them do it.
Yeah, so it's not a big lift, but it is a lift. It has to be done, and you need your staff to be able to.
The thing is, you need to budget for it because it's reimbursable, right? So you need to be prepared to put up the money first and then seek reimbursement. from the state.
Correct. That's true. I mean, you can charge for your time, from what I can understand, but even that's reviewable based on what you put into the grant application. A municipality would have to say, okay, I'm willing to do this, but I'm willing to do it for X amount of dollars. And then that would be, if we get the grant, the full grant, that would be contribution back to that municipality, but they are also the host for the whole grant. And since we don't have a exchange way to get municipality money to us that we haven't really worked out yet, they become paying our coordinator.
Emily is off of her audio, and so is Elizabeth, so I just wanted to let you know that, Gary.
I just wanted to point out, thank you, Rebecca, that I totally understand the administrative burden, but this could be the grants are up to $75,000, so it's quite a good amount of money to pay for some of our base expenses that would then allow us to use some of our discretionary funds, potentially towards other things. So it seems like it's something that's worth at least giving some thought. And, maybe if no municipality is prepared to step up and do it right this minute, maybe, as I think Dan was suggesting, there could be a resolution, authorizing it if a municipality does just do something conditional so that we don't lose the chance before the July 17th deadline.
I would agree. Basically, give us the chance to try and knock on doors and force our way indoors and see if we can get someone to say yes.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Absolutely.
Elizabeth, are you on?
Grant writing process in the town of Poughkeepsie uses a grant writing firm. We don't have an in-house grant writer. So can you talk exactly about what the town municipality involved will be taking on? Are we working?
I haven't read the grant application, so.
But they would essentially be doing the grant writing and the grant administration,
I think,
if received.
I think so Riverkeeper has a grant writer as well, and we apply for these grants all the time and very successfully. So one thing we can provide is a template to make the grant writing easy. It's like this many words in this section, answer this. I'm also happy to help with that. I've offered that to Rebecca. I think the two of us could really do the lion's share of the writing. The work would come in dealing with the grant system and taking that information and plugging it in with enough time for all the mistakes and problems that this one will make. So, I think if we commit to getting that a week or more ahead of time so that whoever on the town side is able to do that process, and then it's all, as Gary said, the administration for the fact if we succeed.
Just to add to that, the Hudson River Watershed Alliance has also offered assistance with preparing a grant narrative.
I mean, I see no harm in making a resolution to say, let's get started. And give us, as Dan suggested, an opportunity to find a home. So with that, I'd like to make that resolution to authorize Dan, Rebecca, and Hudson River Watershed Alliance to help draft the grant. And in the meantime, we could come back on the 10th is our next meeting, right? And we could then, if we don't have a home for this, we'll, but if we do, then we can still gives us a week to do the submission. Clear?
Second,
Question? All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Hi.
Great, I think that's great.
Elizabeth, you have a question?
No, she's just, yeah.
Both hands.
I just want to also add that just for context that when the Hudson 7 was about 2 years old, there was an opportunity through the Hudson River Estuary Programs grant process for funding for a coordinator, and Emily actually wrote an application, and we tried to get it in, and we just didn't make it in time. But so we did actually try to get this money before. And we do have an application. We need to dig it back up and see what the language is. It's probably evolved, but maybe not much. So it's very possible that that language that Emily wrote, back in 2018 or 19 might still be appropriate. So I just should add that just so we can recall, because it's been around for a while now.
In order to keep this meeting moving forward, because I know Nick's on timeline, I'm going to table this discussion now. We've made a resolution, we passed, and move forward, right? That's good. Hudson River Anchorage, excuse me. As we spoke before, there's no updates. We're just waiting for the next stage for the government. Rebecca, is there anything you really need to get across for the water treatment plant?
Yep.
Meeting, except to thank Nick for hosting and gonna host the next one in September.
So the next committee is on June 24th. Next committee meeting for the water treatment plant is set for Monday, June 24th at 10 a.m. at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility. And that's really all. We're working to schedule something in Hyde Park in September or October. Working with Mike Keating. I also just want to say, I don't want to skim over the fact that the Hudson River Estuary Program Action Agenda 2026-2030 follow-up, or rather action plan, the Hudson 7 got their comments in that Emily and Dan worked on. And there's a link to those in the agenda. That was the other item in DWSP2. And that's it for all of it, Gary.
I'd really like to move on to the social media policy. I think it's important that we can move forward with this. So I have a printout, but Emily, you've made some changes, or Rebecca have made some changes. Can you summarize where those changes are quickly?
Yeah, so the social media policy that you all have in your source materials was a draft, and Emily was able to look through the first draft and make some meaningful changes. They're very small, but significant. And I've highlighted what those are. An authorized agent, adding that the Hudson 7 would authorize an authorized agent based on a majority council vote. And then the other item that Emily added, again, is just highlighted here, just to talk through, is item number 5, regarding any advocacy language or use on social media sites is approved by the Hudson 7, again, by a majority vote. So it would be an advocacy messaging outlined with a timeline that the Hudson 7 could approve before any advocacy items are posted on social media, was the other addition. Everything else is the same. And Emily, if maybe you have something more you'd like to say, I'd love to call for a vote so that I can proceed with setting up a Facebook account using the Hudson 7's email address.
Yeah, nothing really to add. I thought it was a good policy, and thanks for making those changes. The only thing I just did want to point out is that the policy includes that we will not have comments on our posts, which I think is a good move, at least to start, so that we don't have to worry about moderating those.
Thank you.
If, under approved platforms, if we did want to, diversify beyond Facebook, would that be a majority vote as well?
Yeah, so for now, we're just authorizing Facebook, but as we have capacity and we grow, and if we want to add other social media platforms, we would just amend this policy. So we have good baseline policy here that can be amended and changed over time. That's the idea, and Elizabeth's hand's raised.
Isn't Facebook linked with Instagram? Shouldn't we do both of them and just have no comments?
I don't know how that works with Twitter, but
No, Insta, not Twitter.
oh, Instagram, sorry. I thought X, right?
No, it's both, it's all owned by, it's in the metaverse, so do you want to consider doing, and I like very much the no comments, thank you for that. Insta captures a younger audience, and I think it might be beneficial to post what we post on Facebook on Instagram. That
I would like to get started with personally with Facebook and have one social media account to manage for now personally, but I leave that up to the council to decide if it wants to add more, just takes up more.
my point is just that it automatically posts to Instagram if you want to. So it wouldn't be managing two, you'd get two for the price of one.
Why don't we?
You can automatically share your Facebook posts to an Instagram account. And that's my point. I don't think it's any extra work, and it captures a younger audience.
There's no additional work, and it's automatic.
No.
It's just click specifying the account.
Yes. It's just my suggestion that we consider doing that, like,
So we
because
could
it is no.
we could add in the policy Facebook and Instagram if you'd like to make that other change. And it looks like Grant made a comment
Up to
too.
your discretion, Rebecca, but you're authorized to do both if it makes sense. It should be pretty easy to set up.
And I think it also does depend, I don't know if we're imagining posting like every post will have a photo, but I think if we're just posting text only on Facebook, those wouldn't obviously belong on Instagram, because I think Instagram needs a video or photo component, I think. So maybe your discretion, I think, Rebecca, as the person, you could decide what goes over to Instagram and what stays just on Facebook.
Happy to add it into the policy so we have the choice.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the social media policy as amended.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Good. We are at time. You're in the new business item. Is there anything of critical importance that we need to bring forward?
The only thing that's here, but we can, you did want to address old business items, but that could be a longer conversation, but is to say that Ulster County has landed on its membership, and it is as reflected on our website, but it wasn't clear if it was going to change, but it'll be Ulster County Executive Jen Metzger is the primary member, and Amanda Laval, or Ulster County Deputy County Executive Amanda Laval will serve as alternate. Is that right, Ben? I know that you were talking about Europa and yourself as well, but that sounds like where everyone landed in Ulster.
Yeah, I believe that. Yep, I believe that's correct.
I had a conversation with Amanda earlier this week and she confirmed that.
Great. So I'll get the resolution and put it on our files, in our files. That's it.
Anybody? Paul, have your hand up.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Rebecca for the operator week. I thought it was a great event. I really enjoyed her interviews with the operators. And it was very interesting to note that all of them said they went into the business for helping the community and for public service. And I think a lot of times we forget about that they're there on Christmas, they're there on New Year's, whenever you turn on the tap, they're there. And Rebecca, I think, really made them feel good about themselves. So I'd just like to thank her.
Thanks, Paul.
Great way to end on a happy note. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our June 13th, 12th meeting.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 thank you, everybody.
You.
Thank you.